Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and of course opinions. Today is Thursday, September 8th, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo. And on today's report, the royal family begins to gather in Scotland after the passing of Queen Elizabeth, who will take over the throne in her absence. We have the story. Meanwhile, a leaked list of members of the Oath Keepers reveals ties to politics, police, and military. Thousands of those names could be in your state. We'll break down the list. Then protests erupt at a local high school after white privilege cards are handed out to students. What parents and school officials are saying about the incident.
Plus, a former NFL player just announced his new shave line for men and fellas. The price is nice. And Usher brings out a special guest to his Vegas residency. Any guess? We'll let you know who that is, because we have all that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth. So let's get it.
Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us. We start today with breaking news. The longest reigning monarch in British history has passed away at the age of 96. Martha McCullum looks back at the life of Queen Elizabeth II.
Queen Elizabeth II was born into the royal Windsor family on April 21, 1926. At birth, as the oldest daughter of the Duke and Duchess of York and niece to the King, no one expected that little Elizabeth Alexandra Mary would one day be the longest-serving and one of the most respected rulers of Great Britain. In 1945, at age 18, the young princess trained as a driver and mechanic in the Women's Auxiliary Service. Like thousands of others, she also had a sweetheart in the armed forces, her third cousin, Prince Philip of Greece. They were engaged to be married shortly after the princess's 21st birthday. But in 1952, while in Kenya with Prince Philip, Elizabeth learned the tragic news that her beloved father, the king, had died. In an instant, the 25-year-old became the Queen of England. Elizabeth was to rule in a new era. Her coronation in all its splendor was the first to be broadcast on television. But with the 1990s came turbulent times for the royal family as the marriages of 3 of the Queen's children fell apart. Then, in 1997, Diana, Princess of Wales and mother to the Princes William and Harry, was killed in a car crash in France. At the time, the Queen was criticized for her reserved response and persuaded to make an unprecedented live broadcast. But as she had so many times before, the Queen persevered. From an early age, Queen Elizabeth was one of the most recognized royals and recognized women in the world. She managed to combine the truly regal with a countrywoman's simple pleasures, and she embodied old-fashioned values of virtue, faith, and self-restraint, honoring to the very end the pledge she had made when she was just 21.
I declare before you all that my whole life, whether it be long or short, shall be devoted to your service and to the service of our great imperial family to which we all belong.
That was Martha McCullum reporting. Now that the Queen has passed away, her son Charles becomes king. The internet has had a lot to say so far about this. As soon as news broke that the Queen had passed away, people on the internet, they could not wait to blame Meghan Markle. So people have already made this about Meghan, saying that all the stress that Meghan and Prince Harry have caused the Queen is what led to her death. We know that's not true. Mm-hmm. One person even going as far as to say, even the BBC, when you turn to the local BBC station in England, they were talking about how, so I guess, of course, the family's rushing to be by her side, or they were rushing to be by her side, and Meghan Markle was not there, but Kate was also not there. But they made it a huge story that Meghan Markle was not showing up and things like that. And so, it's just showing the face of racism. In this, I'm not surprised. It has nothing to do with Meghan Markle. The Queen has passed away. She was 96 years old. That's a really full life. And Meghan and Prince Harry did what they did. They moved, and those are two different stories.
Yeah, I did see that Prince Harry was, because initially we were talking about this on the morning show, because clearly this is top news everywhere. Romeo, you were even saying radio stations all across the world have been talking about this. So they were saying that all of her children were rushing to Scotland and that Prince Harry was going solo. So not sure how or why he was going solo, but everyone was kind of going together. President Joe Biden, he was also being kept up to speed, because initially it said that she was in grave medical condition, right?
Yeah.
And so we didn't know what was going to happen. But President Biden hasn't, I don't think he's given a statement as of yet, but he's been up to speed on what's going on. And again, 96 is a full life. And the internet, again, has been having, Black Twitter specifically has been having a field day with the memes right now.
When someone of this stature passes away, the last thing you want to do is see people talk about pointing fingers, blaming it on someone. I just think that's totally out of line. But 96 years old, full life. I mean, the life that she had, her mother lived to 101. I'm talking about, in my eyes, no stress. May have problems and issues, but not a lot of stress if you're living like that. So kudos to them that lived that life, because a lot of the world is unfortunate, would never see what they saw or have the money they had. But prayers out to the family for sure. But then again, the fact that they want to try and go after Meghan Markle, I'm not for that. I'm not here for that.
Yeah, I mean, she served 7 decades. That's a really full, long time to serve as queen or just live, period. And the fact, Demi, to your point that they brought up Prince Harry landed alone, I saw that. But what they didn't say was Prince William also came alone. And so they try and make that more than what it is, to point the finger, to make that the story that Meghan Markle isn't there.
Everything surrounding around a big family like this, we're going to be talking about this for days. This is not over. Everything is going to be something. I feel like people are going to find one little piece and make it a big deal, just as we do with our presidents, that are here as well. So this is not over, and I'm sure we're going to hear way more on this story. More little pieces are going to start trickling in.
Good point. All right, now to a bombshell report released by the Anti-Defamation League. According to the report, the names of hundreds of law enforcement officials, politicians, military members are on a leaked membership roll of the white supremacist group, the Oath Keepers. There are more than 38,000 names on this list. The ADL has identified more than 370 people it believes to work in law enforcement, including police chiefs and sheriffs. Now, the Oath Keepers, they helped lead the attack on the U.S. Capitol in the January 6th insurrection. And the ADL officials say most of the politicians on the list are in local government positions. Just wow. Are we surprised? I don't think we're surprised.
Not at all.
What I found interesting too is a lot of states went and they looked at the list and they did their own counts per state. So for an example, here in California, there are over 3,000 members on that list. 24 members are in law enforcement. The list also identified 27 or more than 24 people on that list who were charged in the January 6th attack. I believe Illinois broke it down. Nebraska broke it down. There are just so many states that are going by and just looking at that list. And that's a very scary thing to think about, is that you have these white supremacists. We know that they've infiltrated the FBI, the government, the police, local police stations. We know that. But now we have a list that is actually pointing to that. They didn't name them, but they just said what branch that they're in. And so, that's a really it's something that we just need to pay attention to. They also identified more than 80 people as of last month who were running or have run or currently hold a public office. So,
I did a breakdown too. I don't know why I figured someone would do California. So I looked into Illinois, and it was about 883 people from Illinois. 10 Illinois firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs joined the people on this list. 21 law enforcement officers. And I think as a whole, not just in a specific state, 100 people were connected to current military, current people who are currently serving in the military. And so, as a family lineage of military in my family, I really was thinking about, wow, these are people that are supposed to be for all Americans, to serve everyone in the United States, and to know that there are people, and also the amount of Republicans. I believe that it was about, I think I wrote down the wrong number, but it was a shocking number. It was a shocking number, right, of Republicans that were on this list. But also, too, a lot of people online are wondering, too, Mimi and Romeo, drop us the list. I kind of think we deserve to know who these people are. Because if you're rolling around in Illinois, in some of these states that we've talked about, and the police officer or a military person that pulls you over, you kind of want to know where they lie, because it would make sense if you get pulled over, you're a Black American, you get pulled over, and you're wondering, wow, why was this a violent arrest?
Aggressive.
Why was this aggressive? It would make a lot more sense.
Why was they even pulled over at all?
In the first place.
Yeah, and you think, I'm not surprised when you say about the number about the Republicans, not surprised by that at all. And we talk about this movie called Sleeping with the Enemy. We're living with the enemy because through all the states across the country, those numbers, you guys went through those, so I won't repeat that part, but it's kind of overwhelming to be like, wow, because if you think about the Civil Rights Movement, you think about Black Panthers, how they wanted to make sure they want to find out who was involved with that, how they wanted to go ahead and break that down and make arrests and things of that nature. Maybe we should start doing the same when it comes to this. Now this list is out. Let's get some names. Let's name drop on this and see what happens.
Actually, I like that, Romeo. I like that I like connecting the Black Panthers, because you're absolutely right. That was the goal, to know who are we sleeping next to, who is in the ranks. I really like that. I don't know if I'm going to start this group of people that want to get this going. However, I love where you're going with that. I love where you're going with that. All right, former Attorney General Bill Barr says that he thinks the Department of Justice is getting very close to having enough evidence to indict former President Donald Trump. Barr appeared on Fox News yesterday to discuss the DOJ's possible case against the former boss for possessing top secret and classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago home.
The fact that there were documents there, and the fact that they were classified, and the fact that they were subpoenaed and never delivered, but they don't have to show the content, the specific advice given in a memo, for example.
Barr, he went on to say that he hopes Attorney General Merrick Garland doesn't indict Trump because he is an ex-president, but Barr does say the simple fact that Trump had the documents at his home would make it tough for him to win a case.
Yes. The Biden administration is committing to reestablishing relations with countries in sub-Saharan Africa. The White House National Security Council released a report outlining America's new vision of priorities on the continent. The news comes days after Vice President Kamala Harris met with Nigerian VP Yemi Osinbajo at the White House, as far different stance when it comes to Africa from the Trump years, when he referred to Africa and other non-white countries as S-hole countries. The move also comes as China and Russia have been mining rare minerals and propping up dictatorships around the continent.
It took a little longer than we'd like, but the Obama portraits were unveiled yesterday at the White House. In recent decades, former presidents and first ladies have formal unveiling ceremonies with the succeeding president. But Donald Trump did not hold a ceremony during his time at the White House. Mr. Obama had good things to say about his former vice president.
Thanks to your decency and thanks to your strength, maybe most of all thanks to your faith in our democracy and the American people, the country's better off than when you took office, and we should all be deeply grateful for that. So thank you so much.
A large number of former Obama administration members were at the ceremony. Mr. Obama's portrait was taken by Robert McCurdy, and First Lady's, her portrait was painted by Sharon Sprung. I love this. Can we get the portraits back on the camera, please? Because I really wanted to see that. I mean, I think that what is so great about this, the portraits are beautiful, but did y'all check out Mrs. Obama's hair? I mean, she wore braids to an official White House event. And I think everybody was talking about how, I mean, it's like, tell me you're black without saying you're black, right?
She's not a first lady anymore, so she can be unapologetically black at this point. I think that when she was in the White House, there was a, you had to be so prim and proper, had to have a fresh wrap. It had to be, look presidential. But now it's like, hey, I'm going to come in my box braids that I got freshly done for this ceremony. You're going to see how presidential I look in my portrait here. She's not the first lady, the active first lady. I love that she is showing up as she is, unapologetically black. The more people in the world need to see that, because it's going to make little black girls not feel like I have to have my hair so perfect and spritzed up. I can literally come in my box braids and be the black girl that I was when I grew up.
I love that. But all you men, there's a message. Former President Barack Obama, you heard what he said about his wife in that portrait, how she's just fine, right?
He did.
Look, let me tell you, over all the years, I don't care how many years or decades you got in your relationship, you need to give that same energy every day for the rest of your life. I love the fact that he did that. And it just speaks volumes about them as a couple. And first of all, I just miss hearing him talk. You know what I'm saying? He just makes me feel at ease.
Romeo, that's funny. That's the clip that I played on our morning show this morning. Too. Was that specific part where you said, shout out to Sharon Sprung for doing so great, making it look great. But more importantly, shout out to Meghan like, my wife is fine. I was like, I love him keeping that same energy.
Definitely.
You know, again, they're not current presidents, so I feel like they can just let their hair down a little bit more, literally and figuratively, and really just show up as black people in America.
Definitely.
I feel like Mrs. Obama, though, even as the First Lady, she would still rock some braids if she felt like it. I feel like she always pushed the envelope just a little bit. You know, remember when the shoulder was a scandal and she was like, everybody was like, she's showing her shoulder. You know what I mean? I kind of just feel like she was like, whatever, I'm going to let my arms out, I'm going to let my muscles out. And I mean, you know, right now we're in so many states, they're fighting for the Crown Act. They're fighting for all of these different things. And I just think it was a powerful statement for her to show up in her natural hair, in a natural style, the way she did.
Yes, Mimi, she's literally one of the most, as a former president, as a former first lady, she's one of the most powerful women in America. And to literally be able to be brave enough, I would be like, I would get a fresh wrap. Honestly, I hate that we're talking about hair, but like, if there are black women that watch us for this ceremony, I would probably be like, I need to show up as the former first lady and give them exactly what they got while I was president, you know, while I was first lady. But I love this, that she said, you know what, give me some box braids. And I'm going to go to the ceremony just like this.
Yep.
I love it. All right, Massachusetts is one step closer to becoming the state's first African-American female attorney general, having the very first. That is amazing and groundbreaking. Andrea Campbell beat out Shannon Liss Riordan for the Democratic nomination. Now, Campbell is the first black woman elected as Boston City Council president. And if she wins, Campbell will join New York Attorney General Letitia James as the only black woman state attorney general.
An effort is underway to block a new law just signed by Governor Newsom that would raise the wages of California's fast food workers. Minimum wage could be as high as $22 an hour for fast food workers at chains with more than 100 restaurants. That's compared to the statewide minimum wage of $15.50 an hour. Restaurant owners say the law would drive up fast food costs. Opponents of the law want to let voters decide whether to create a council to set minimum standards for wages, hours, and working conditions for workers at fast food franchises. They filed a request to begin circulating petitions to qualify the referendum for the ballot.
And the three men who killed Ahmaud Arbery are in a state prison today. The men have been transferred to one of the state's largest prisons in Georgia after the request to serve time in a federal prison was denied. The father and son duo, as well as their friend, will now serve their life sentences in a prison that houses over 2,000 of the state's most violent inmates. Last November, a jury found all three men guilty of the death of Ahmaud Arbery.
White privilege cards are sold on an Oklahoma high school campus, and they're sparking protests. Students at Charles Page High School in Sand Springs staged a protest last Wednesday to voice their displeasure over another student handout white privilege cards. Several people have labeled the incident as racist. A student identified as Fabian Gayton, he says that someone handed him a card and called him a racial slur. Another black student shared a snapshot post where he offered a cash reward for the capture of the black student and referred to him as a slave. Students say they staged a protest because they had enough of the racist incidents at the school. School officials say that they don't condone the cards being passed out to students. The cards are being sold on Amazon and showing up around the nation. It's so interesting. When I first saw this, I thought that this was the story about the lady at first giving out the white privilege cards, and it seems as if they're actually catching on. I'm just wondering, what is the point? Because the person who created him, he says that he thought it was a joke, but also, how is it a joke? Because what's funny about it? There's literally nothing funny about it. They can't be used for anything. They can't be traded in for. It's not a get out of jail free card like in Monopoly. So where is the joke in this?
Listen to me. I'm with you. Where is the joke in this? These are high school kids that seem to find something funny in this. I don't see what's funny in it. The part that you just reported on about one of the little boys recording another black boy and saying that he was looking for a runaway slave, basically. I mean, these are the things that are coming out. And this is the problem when we don't teach history in class and we don't teach the right history and we're trying to ban all of it. These kids are growing up without a knowledge of what really happened, and they think it's a joke, and it's really not a joke.
No, and we're talking high schoolers, so they could carry this on to college, through their careers. Maybe it may affect them when they want to hire someone or work next to a person of color. This could go on for decades. We've been through that already, right? We've been through it for hundreds of years, so the last thing we need is something like this to continue to keep us and keep setting us back. I think about, like, why even allow such cards like this be made, right? You know what it's all about. I know money rules all evil in a certain way, but it's sometimes sometimes you got to say no to things. And the fact that this is out there and people are thinking it's a joke and find humor with it, it's very disgusting.
I feel like this type of thinking starts at home, right? Because
Yes,
no matter
agreed.
what, you know wrong from right. So you know that something like that is still wrong to do, right? And so these cards, they popped up at a Trump event. They're being sold at Trump vendors, and now you can buy them on Amazon. And these kids, high school, you're old enough to know wrong from right. You know that's not funny or anything like that.
Mimi, just to really quick on your point is you're absolutely right that this starts from birth, because I want to read the card. I know we showed it on the screen, but the card literally says white privilege trumps everything, member since birth, good through death, card holder, scot-free. And it literally says exactly how white Americans who feel like they have white privilege without this card, it is how they feel, and it is absolutely from birth.
You know, Amazon's a very powerful company. Like, what if a petition or
selling
something
it.
came together and said, look, we're going to stop buying from Amazon because, trust me, I got packages coming almost every day. What if we just shut that down saying, as long as you continue to sell this, we don't want to buy from you?
I'm
I
liking
mean, what if we
Romeo's
get to
energy
that?
today.
Okay,
Rallying us together.
let's get
I
it
woke up
together.
on the right side
I
of
love
the bed.
that, Romeo.
All right.
I love
love
that.
it.
Soulmates, a South Carolina judge says the state cannot use firing squads and the electric chair to execute death row inmates. Judge Jocelyn Newman says those methods violate the state's constitutional ban on cruel and unusual punishment. The judge's decision will temporarily spare four inmates who were set to be killed by firing squads. Now, the governor's office is expected to appeal the ruling. Now, since the 1990s, lethal injection has been the method South Carolina inmates have been put to death. And the 282 inmates executed in the state since 1912, 209 of them have been black. All right, so we are just getting started, but we're not done yet.
We are not done yet. We have a little bit more. The lives of more than 200 African Americans killed by racial violence will be remembered during an art exhibit in the New York's Central Park. The Say Their Name display is part of a tour that is traveling to the United States. It is among memorials sponsored by San Diego African American Museum of Fine Arts. It honors the lives of people lost over 2 centuries. Now, the exhibit is located in Seneca Village, a location in Central Park that was settled by black people in the mid-1800s. The exhibit starts September 7th and ends a month later.
Baltimore City and county residents are under a boil water advisory because samples of E. coli were found in some of the city's water supply. City officials say that they're confident it has nothing to do with the water treatment facility, but they want residents to be careful and boil their water before drinking or washing with it. Baltimore's Department of Public Works is distributing water around the city and the county until the advisory is lifted.
Also in Baltimore, a group of dirty cops are costing taxpayers in that city more than $15 million. The actions of the disgraced Gun Trace Task Force inspired an HBO limited series. The task force robbed drug dealers of their money and sold their drugs to other criminals. Federal prosecutors say the group that was tasked with getting illegal weapons off of Baltimore streets also terrorized black city residents. Baltimore Spending Board has approved $15.5 million to victims of the rogue force's actions.